Being 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bospis.
Here.
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Collins. Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Talentino.
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Okay, Commissioner Talentino.
So moved to excuse Commissioner Collins.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Okay, motion passed. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Brave souls that wrestled the weather to come tonight. We appreciate that. Also, we'll be talking more about this during commissioner comments, I'm sure, but just a congratulations to the I-500 and all the volunteers. Saturday, you couldn't have asked for a nicer day. Great day for racing. We got past that polar vortex and 25, 27 degrees. Good crowd. Certainly, on behalf of the commission and the city of Sault Ste. Marie and its citizens, we know what an impact the I-500 is in this community in the Eastern UP. So, another job well done. The 51st running of the I-500. Okay, call the meeting to order. Roll call. Let's go here to proclamations and recognitions. Item B, United States Coast Guard Volunteer Award and Recognition. Call on the city manager. Are we going to the podium?
Good evening, Mayor and Commission and community. If we could please have MST Post come up with us and anyone with him that he'd like to include. So as commissioners are aware, the U.S. Coast Guard Integration Committee has been working on a variety of initiatives that are geared toward further integrating U.S. Coast Guard members into the community and enhancing communication and collaboration among a variety of partners, including the Coast Guard, the city, the EDC, the Sault Area Public Schools, and others. One idea generated through this working group was that it would be appropriate to begin to recognize exceptional volunteers from the Coast Guard during a City Commission meeting to demonstrate appreciation for the work members do within the community. This is the first of such recognitions. We are pleased to present this recognition to MST, Russell Post. In July, Mr. Post volunteered to support the City of Sault Ste. Marie's sister city relationship, where he opened his home to house 2 delegates from Rio Shiga Prefecture. Contact was made weeks in advance of the arrival of the delegates for well-planned events. Mr. Post ensured that the delegates were provided all of the comforts necessary to make their stay as enjoyable as possible. He transported them to and from scheduled functions and attended a couple that were open to the host families, including a wild game dinner at the Sioux Tribal Center and a trip to Mackinac Island. During their stay with him, he and his wife Stacy held many discussions with the delegates about their lives and shared stories and friendship and goodwill. In August, Mr. Post volunteered in support of the local United Way for its annual backpack drive. He secured a donation that was used for the purchase of backpacks and school supplies that were donated to the cause, and he also assisted in the stocking and handing out of backpacks to those who wished to claim one. In total, 680 backpacks were claimed by children in the community and its surrounding areas. Also in August, Mr. Post volunteered with local community members for the Malcolm Park Pride Kickball Tournament. He assisted with the early morning setup of 3 of the 4 ball fields used in the tournament during on and off rainstorms. He also helped conduct team registration and donation collection and helped to manage the tournament bracket. He oversaw 6 kickball games throughout the day, all while ensuring the tournament's bracket was flowing forward without incident. Overall, the event was able to raise approximately $25,000 for much-needed repairs to the fields at Malcolm Park and the construction of a new clubhouse and concession stand. Mr. Post also in August volunteered with a team of 15 to play softball against a local team of Special Olympians. He maintained the position of catcher during the entire game, where he promoted words of encouragement, mentoring, and coaching. The game lasted 5 innings, and the volunteer team was destroyed 22-3. Finally, in October, he took part in a community fundraising competitive dance event for Hospice of the Eastern Upper Peninsula, Sue's Dancing with the Stars. He and his wife, Stacy, raised approximately $1,000 through multiple community events. The event raised a record $75,000 in donations. The city is grateful for the engagement of the U.S. Coast Guard members, such as Mr. Post, and is pleased to provide him with this recognition plaque, which the mayor has with him at this time.
Congratulations. I'll just read this. 2018 Volunteer of the Year, presented to MST1 Russell Post in recognition of your dedication to volunteerism and improving the lives of those in your community. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's beautiful. You want to say it, and then you can go around the dais?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. It's very humbling receiving an award like this from the city. You know, we move around as Coast Guardsmen, women. We try to get involved with our community as much as possible. And I couldn't thank my wife enough for dragging me along. And a lot of these initiatives were her call. So I really, this award is more hers than it is mine. It's very rare that we come into a city that you find to be more of a home than what you previously came from. And we want to leave it better than which we found it. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations again, and it's a beautiful plaque. It's great job. Commissioner Gary, thank you for your input too on the committee. Yeah. Item C, public comment, notice of public comment. And at this time, any person wishing to speak on an agenda item will be given time to speak when that item comes before the commission. If you would like to speak on an agenda item, you have 3 minutes to make that presentation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an agenda item? Yes, sir. What number is it, do you know? We have an agenda right here if you... You see it there? Is the item there? Or no? Oh, okay. Oh, during public comment you can. Sure. Okay. Okay, then no one speaking during, other than at the public comment time, that'd be okay. Moving on to D, the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager.
Under the consent agenda, 1, approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of January 21st, 2019. Item 2, acceptance of the Community Services Board meeting minutes of January 29th, 2019. Item 3, acceptance of the Sault Ste. Marie Housing Commission meeting minutes of November 15th and December 27th. Item 4, appointment of Virginia Symbolist to the Chippewa County Historical Society to fill the balance of a term to expire December 31st, 2024. Item 5 is authorization of a policy amendment with National Insurance Services for short-term and long-term disability coverage. Item 6, authorization of a policy amendment with the Hartford for group life insurance coverage. Item 7 is appropriation of funding for emergency repair of the HVAC system in the north lobby of City Hall. Item 8 is award a bid for city facility solid waste collection and disposal. Item 9 is authorization of an agreement between Sioux Locks Visitor Center Association and the City of Sault Ste. Marie for the purpose of promoting the community and its history. And item 10 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a commissioner that likes something on the consent agenda further explained? Okay, Commissioner Tuardi.
So move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Baspis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuardi.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item E, special orders of business. 1, public hearing to confirm special assessment roll SW-03-18.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Turner.
Thank you, Mayor. On this matter, I've requested that city engineer assist to present to the commission.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and
Evening,
Commission.
Linda.
As you are aware, we've been working on the sidewalk project for 2019 sidewalk repair project. And on August 19th, there was a hearing of necessity for this, for the sidewalk repairs. And then we completed the construction plans and design and bid it out. We received bids and January 21st, you scheduled the public hearing to occur at tonight's meeting. All the property owners were issued the notices of the public hearing along with their special assessment. So tonight is you'd be conducting a hearing on the roll and setting the special assessments. The per our current policy for assessing the interest rate, the current federal prime rate is 5% plus 1%, and it would be 6% interest rate on 10 annual installments if the assessment is not paid in full. Later in the meeting, there's the construction contract is on the agenda to award the construction contract. The assessments are based on the $5.25 per square foot for 4-inch sidewalk and $6.50 per 6-inch sidewalk. That 6-inch sidewalk is sidewalk that is underneath the driveway, and that represents 50% of the contract price. So it would you would have two items to conduct the public hearing, and then a motion to approve the resolution approving the roll.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Linda. At this time, we'll hold the public hearing on Special Assessment Roll SW-03-18. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioner Talentino.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution approving special assessment roll SW-03-18.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuardi,
Yes.
Mayor Baspis.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F, communications. 1 from Community Improvement Committee, update on residential rental community survey.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. At its December 3rd regular meeting, the City Commission was presented with and reviewed proposed survey questions for the community-wide rental housing survey. During the discussion, the Commission expressed a desire to put the questions out to the community for review prior to releasing the survey. Accordingly, administration included an invitation for all registered landlords to provide feedback via a label placed on envelopes containing the annual rental registration renewal forms, directing them to the city's website for the list of questions, as well as an email address which was created expressly for the purpose of receiving responses. In addition, a request for feedback was posted on the city's Facebook page, and an article appeared in the Sioux News. Administration received approximately 15 responses to the request for feedback. The city's Community Improvement Committee convened on Monday, January 28th to review the feedback. After reviewing responses, several changes were made to the survey, including minor grammatical and slight language changes. planned links to be included to the property maintenance code as well as the rental inspection checklist. The rearrangement of a number of questions as requested by one respondent, including a 5-year time horizon on select questions, which was not present in the original draft, and the addition of questions 12 and 13 of the survey as included. Should the City Commission concur that the revised questions are ready for release, administration expects to have the survey live no later than mid-February. Accordingly, it would be my recommendation that the City Commission approve the release of the survey as presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Commissioner Gary? Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the release of the survey as presented.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty,
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, item G is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1 under the City Manager's report would provide for the award of a contract for sidewalk replacement to Darling Concrete. On this matter, again, welcome City Engineer Basista.
Good evening again. As mentioned before, this is the contract for the sidewalk 2019 sidewalk repair replacement project. Bids were received on December 18th, and we received 2 bids. One from Darling Concrete for $35,938, and the other one was LD Dosa for $88,600 and some change. LD Dosa was the contractor most recently on our wastewater treatment plant new screw pump installation. Not sure what they would be proposing to do with sidewalks, but I'm guessing that they have some work at the locks, and since they're here, they probably were thought they would look at another project, which we welcome all bids. We truly do. But their bid was substantially higher than the lowest bid, and the lowest bid was Darling Concrete, who's performed several of our sidewalk repair projects. And just for the record, Mick Darling is an employee of the DPW of the city, but his wife is listed as the president for Darling Concrete, so for full disclosure. And so I recommend a award of a contract for $35,938 to Darling Concrete.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? City manager?
Nothing further.
Okay. Just a comment, the Mike Darling, or Darling Construction or Concrete, it continues to do an excellent job of laying city sidewalk. I think this is probably 4th year, possibly, or 5th. I know time flies, so it's hard to say, but his prices are excellent. And when you see the price of the other folks from of course, down the state, but it's hiring local people, and it's nice to see them being the low bid. We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
I don't think we have motion.
We have a motion?
No.
Oh,
But I
I'm
will
sorry.
if you want me to.
Okay.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Your
Miller.
Honor. I move to award a contract to Darling Concrete LLC for sidewalk replacement on areas of Ann, Pine, Sheridan, and Leroy Streets per bid B-35-18 in the amount of $35,938.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty,
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 2 under City Manager's report would provide authorization of a 1-year extension to the operations and management agreement for the George Kent Marina with Les Seux de Ste. Marie Historic Sites for the 2019 operating season. On this matter, Director Wires will present.
Okay. Evening, Dan.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Last year, around this time, I came in front of you to ask for a 1-year extension for the operations of the Kent Marina. First off, I would like to say that I did meet with Rich Brawley and the Sioux Historic Sites team, and a little bit of background, which you do have in your packet, is since 1997, 98, since the marina was built, the city's worked with Sioux Historic Sites, and mainly on 5-year agreements. Last year was the first year we reduced it to 1 while we started to evaluate. I know that some of the things that the commission is looking at to evaluate the operations. And our goal is to authorize, tonight is to authorize 1 additional operating agreement for 1 additional year while we continue to evaluate the operations. The intent is to come up with a conclusion. But first, Historic Sites has done an excellent job in managing the marina, so this isn't nothing about that other than to continue to look at our operations and see where we may want to move forward, whether it be potential longer term, shorter term. And so we kind of ran out of time January 1st, so this is to extend it 1 additional year. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, City Manager, anything further?
Nothing further. The recommended action would be to authorize the additional 1-year extension as laid out. Thank you.
Commissioner Gary, you have a comment?
Comment, question for the city attorney. I serve on the board for Sioux Historic Sites, so I'm assuming I will abstain from any discussion and vote on this item.
That is correct, abstain.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Commissioner Talentino.
Sure. Make a motion to authorize the additional 1-year extension of the operations/management agreement of George Kemp Marina with De La Salle Marie, St. Marie Historical Sites Incorporated for the 2019 season ending December 31st, 2019.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Baspis?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 3, under the city manager's report, would provide for the adoption of the 2019 to 2025 6-year capital improvement plan. On this matter, City Engineer Basista will present.
Okay. Welcome again.
Thank you. I have a PowerPoint presentation.
Sure.
Okay, so this is, I think, our 6th year for preparing a 6-year capital improvement plan. So each year we start out in setting the schedule in August, and department heads meet with their respective boards if they're involved in capital improvements, and in December the capital improvement plan goes to the Historical Development Commission to review it for historical impacts, and the Planning Commission adopts it and recommends it to move forward to City Commission. So a capital improvement basically has some aspects, a guideline for projects or equipment that do go into the capital improvement plan is something that has a useful life of at least 3 years. It costs $10,000 or more. Anything less than $10,000 goes into just budgeting for capital outlay, and is not considered a capital improvement project or equipment. It does not reoccur annually unless it's something like police cars or police vests and computer equipment. We're constantly rotating those things for reoccurring purposes. And it's not an operating expense related to equipment or capital improvements. So the benefits of the capital improvement plan and capital improvement program is that it allows for better planning. We start early, far ahead of budget time. We have opportunity to review all the projects and equipment, prioritize prior to the budgeting. It allows us to coordinate projects. So we're all looking at the projects at the same time and saying, hey, this conflicts with that. The EDC or the DDA may be planning a project that may or may not conflict with the project that I'm planning, so it gives us an opportunity to coordinate all the projects. And then, of course, it's just a wise spending of limited funds, having lots of eyes on the projects, a lot of input, and then looking at, you know, what we can afford. I would say it's not a wish list. It's what has been determined is needed for a progressive city, taking care of our citizens, the health and welfare of the city, providing essential services, and then, you know, adding some nicer things that may attract more people to live here or work here or visit here. So I would say it's not a wish list. It's a true plan. So there's a lot of participation, and as I said, one, the public. We get a lot of input from the public throughout the year, as you do too, and as many of the boards and commissions get. Each year we do put out a call to the public for the Planning Commission to come and provide input. We still have only gotten a couple in the last 2 years of people attending and actually submitting projects. But it's only been 6 years. As time goes on, you know, more and more people will become familiar with it and hopefully just keep submitting projects. Of course, city staff, major input into the process. The airport board and community services boards are two boards that actually review their services or their part of what they participate in and submit through their liaisons projects. Economic Development Commission, of course, with the airport and the industrial parks. The DDA has their projects, list of projects. The Historical Development Commission, as I mentioned before, they participate by just checking the projects to see if there's any historical impact. Usually in the case of, if we're planning a demolition of something, I say, hey, no, that has historical significance. And then, of course, the Planning Commission. This is a document that is actually a task of the Planning Commission. It traditionally is a Planning Commission document. And then, of course, you then, City Commission, adopting the plan, which then we use the projects to submit for budgeting. So in the process, once all the projects or equipment are submitted, the committee, which consists of department heads that have capital equipment or capital projects, get together and rank the projects. And it's not a ranking as in this is project number 1 and this is project number 2, but it's a ranking as far as identifying the priority of the project. And number 4, I suppose if we were to add up all the numbers, the high score, you know, is a higher priority. But so priority 4 is an essential project. It really needs to be done. If at all possible, we should make every effort to find the funding for it. When it's submitted, it really should be a planned out project. We know what it is, and you know, we might have to be in compliance with regulatory requirements or severe safety issues. So we should try to fund those if at all possible. Priority 3 is desirable. High priority should be done if we have funding. If they are shown to be a benefit and they have validity as far as the timing and planning. Priority 2 is acceptable. It's a worthwhile project. Could be considered if funding. A lot of grant projects probably fall into this category. You know, if we can get the grant for an improvement or a park or something, we would do the project, but it could be deferred to subsequent year or until we get the grant. It's not going to impact services. And then priority 1 is definitely a deferrable project, low priority, but it's desirable. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to pick out any particular projects, but you know, sometimes these are just the you know, icing on the cake types of projects. So our first year, so in the CIP, there's a spreadsheet that shows each project and what year it's proposed for. And it's the first year projects that go to budgeting, through the budgeting process, if nothing has changed. So for example, Alfred Park and Carbide Dock Shoreline Repair and Protection, 17.7 million, is in the CIP, is a first year project, but since we got the grant, it will probably be coming to you before the 1920 budget preparation to get that project actually established. So we're well on our way to that project. Another non-motorized trail rehabilitation, we're getting more and more trails. One high priority would be to, you know, rehab the Meridian Trail is one of those. And a few years down the road, we're going to have to do something with West Portage. So the more trails we build, the more we need to be rehabbing them. The zoning ordinance update is considered a capital improvement project because it costs more than $10,000 to do it, and it has a long life. Malcolm Park Pavilion, $130,000. That obviously is a community committee implemented project and initiated and fundraised for. It's still a capital improvement project. It's still in as far as our projects because city staff is going to be involved. And so we can look at these and say, hey, this is coming up, this is coming up. We have all these on our plate for 2019. We should probably put off some of these other less projects that can be put out to another year. Guardrail repairs, something we have to do every few years, and then parking garage LED conversion, something that hopefully will save money. So this is a good selection of the types of projects. You see also, and then equipment, the aerial apparatus replacement for the fire department. That's been in the CIP for as long as we've had the CIP. In fact, they've been planning for it for even before we started the CIP. Snow removal equipment for Sanderson Airport is first year. Wastewater treatment plant screw pump rehabilitation. We added a new screw pump, but now the 4 that were existing need to be rehabbed, and that's considered a first year. It's equipment. Plow trucks, police vehicle, wheeled loader, all these things that help the day-to-day services, carrying out day-to-day services. Out year proposed projects, we get into, we place projects in the year. We think that we're less certain of the outer year projects, and sometimes we know exactly what year we're going to need to do it, and it's in the CIP. Other times it may move around as we go year to year to CIP, but year 5 right now we're looking at a wastewater collection system retention basin. We think that, with all the wet weather flows, even though we separated our sewers, we're still going to have to deal with something. That's a large project that we're looking down the road at. Year 3, 25th Avenue Water Tower painting, $200,000. There's also a companion, I think in year 5 for 4th Avenue and the other water tower painting. So that's something that's done every so many years. Each water tower gets painted. We know that, and that's the year it's proposed. Year 5 and 6, this keeps showing up in our CIP as year 5 or 6. It keeps getting moved to year 5 and 6 every year. But it's Eureka Peck area storm sewer upgrades. It's a big ticket item. We had a study done. There are some serious issues there that we need to address, but that's a lot of money. We're going to pack that in, try to condense that with street projects or whatever. But we have a study, and so we're carrying it in our CIP. Year 3 or industrial park, 14th Avenue extension. I think this will be depending on, if we get a developer in the air industrial park, extending 14th Avenue through the Air Industrial Park. And then Malcolm Ballfield Storage Building, 60,000. And then again, out year equipment, a lot of this equipment is rolling stock. It's just, I think Director Jim Morrow, DPW Director Jim Morrow has a 10-year equipment plan, and a lot of this just rolls through as he determines the useful life of any particular piece of equipment. And then, of course, something like the computer replacements is an annual $10,000 per year. So our total 6-year CIP is $58.2 million. And the first year is $23.1 million, but thankfully that's the carbide dock, which we got the grant for, so it's more like about $5 million that we're looking at needing to fund for fiscal year 1920. And then 8.7, 5.1, 6.2 million, 12 million, 3 million. So you see year 6 is a little light, 3 million versus the other years, but it's less is known as we get further out in the years. But some stuff we just know about, replacing equipment, certain projects. So I'd like to thank in particular Angie Patterson. She's in my office. She's the CIP coordinator, pulls it all together, keeps us all on task, especially me with getting my stuff in on time. All the department directors, the boards and commissions involved, and the public. So if anybody wants to see this year's CIP, we'll put that on the website under reports and plans, and until it's adopted, and then with the budget, it usually shows up with the budget. So last year's capital improvement plan can be found under the annual budgets page of our website.
Okay. Any questions of Linda? Commissioner Gary.
Nice job on the plan. It's amazing when you can look at each year and the progressive spending that we're going to have to make, $58 million. And I remember when you rolled out the capital improvement plan, but for the life of me, can't remember how we planned before that. So it must have been capital improvements by crisis management or something.
It was tough. It was in the budget process.
Okay.
So at budget time, all the department heads put in their
Remember those,
capital
yeah.
outlay. And for me, it was very difficult because it was all the projects. I didn't know, what year. I wasn't doing a lot of planning. I just submitted all the projects that I had in my head, and some of them got budgeted, some of them didn't, and so yeah, this makes it far easier for me planning projects.
Yeah, there are organizational aspects of that, and you started it, and this is the 6th one?
I think it's the 6th one.
I thought it was
maybe
longer
the
than-
7th.
I think it was
'cause
longer
I've been
than
here
that.
8 years in March,
Yeah,
so it's
okay.
probably the 7th one.
But that was a huge undertaking on your part. I remember when you started it, and then each year it's just updated and it's renewed.
Yeah.
And the chronological order of things that actually get done. When you look back, and I think it was Spencer who did this when he was leaving, the 22 years he'd been there, and he looked at the capital improvements over there. It's $220 million type of thing in grants, and it was just tremendous. So it does, the organizational efforts of this plan, in the spreadsheet that you see, and you delineate how, the 4-3-2-1 has always been there.
Yeah.
And it's a nice way to see the priorities. And you have a lot, you mentioned the public, but the public is involved in all those boards and commissions. So there is a lot of input from administrators, department heads, but the public in general too, because of all the boards and commissions, that the people that are involved stay involved. And they understand when you're looking at projects that which ones are needed, which ones maybe can be set aside for the time being. But like I said, we don't have enough money to do all of them, but it does keep you focused on the priorities. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Commissioner Baker.
Motion to adopt the 2019-2025 capital improvement plan as presented.
Support. It's been supported. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And again, Linda, job well done. Thank you.
And item 4, under the city manager's report, is the approval of various budget amendments for the operational budget review as of December 31st. Included is a review of budget to actual performance for the city's operating funds as prepared by Finance Director and Treasurer Collins. As noted elsewhere, this review is for operational budgets only, and status reports and budget requests for capital projects come to the Commission via an assigned project manager. Commission-approved budget revisions have been provided, and for each fund, the status of expenditures as a percentage of budgets through December 31st has been provided. At this point, the fiscal year is approximately 50% complete, and several changes are proposed. In regards to general fund revenue, tax refunds at a rate of $196,900 are well above the initial budget. This was revised upward previously and is being requested for further revision to largely account for refunds associated with the Cascade Crossings Michigan Tax Tribunal appeal. As noted at the time, the City Commission accepted the audit for the fiscal year ending June 30, and is noted at numerous other times both prior to and following the acceptance of the audit. It is expected the current fiscal year ending June 30, 19 will close with a general fund balance of roughly 22 to 23%, down from the balance of over 28% at the close of the last audit, for a likely drawdown of $500,000 from the balance. A decrease has been expected to occur due to one-time occurrences, such as the large refunds associated with the Michigan Tax Tribunal settlement with Cascade Crossings, an anticipated one-time decrease to fire protection grant funding as detailed, and the payment of retroactive wage and contractual increases, which otherwise would have been paid in the last fiscal year. However, as detailed in Director Collins' report, the largest line item in charges for services ambulance service is running behind projected targets at 37%. The city expects the total revenue at year-end to be closer to $1.4 million, with offsetting write-offs totaling $672,000. A budget revision downward for each line item with a net impact to the fund of $252,000 is requested. Although the currently projected ratio of 22 to 23% accounts for this decrease in revenue, it should be noted that the ambulance service revenue decrease should not be considered to be a one-time occurrence and should be treated as a structural trend that must be addressed in the upcoming budget development cycle. I am confident administration has the correct team in place to effectively address this issue. On a positive note, interest revenue across all funds is ahead of targets, with general fund coming in at 86% and running higher in some other funds. Improved market conditions and tiered rates negotiated by the Finance Department and Finance Director with our local banks have worked together to significantly improve the city's return on investments, and a revision upward in the amount of $40,000 in the general fund has been requested. In regards to general fund expenditures, the departments of manager, finance, assessor, attorney, commission, and clerk are at reasonable expenditures to date for this time of year. Other legislative and general government cost categories are on track as anticipated. The police department is running just ahead of target at 53% of budget, with most line items being reasonable for this time of year, with the exception of overtime and payroll other. These overages are mainly due to contractual retro pay, retirements, and short staffing, at one point the police department being short 3 positions, all of which are either behind us or are likely to improve in the near future. A total revision of $68,600 is requested accordingly. Most line items in the fire and ambulance departments are sufficient. Fire department overtime is the most significant line item overage. The overtime was very high at the start of the fiscal year when the department was short-staffed by 3 positions, and has leveled out since that time. There are no budget revisions for DPW cost category departments or for culture and recreation cost categories at this time. Additionally, capital equipment purchases are within budget parameters at 49%, and no revisions are requested for capital outlay. Other notable modifications in other funds include a request upward in the amount of over $190,000 in additional roads funding due to increased State of Michigan support, an increase of $500 to the SEAL operating fund to account for donation, revisions to account for the $25,000 provided by the Sioux Tribe for improvements to the Malcolm Park ball field, and revisions related to the Police and Fire Pension Board transition and professional services. In closing, the general fund is positioned to close the current fiscal year with an anticipated drawdown, but at a level that is higher than the existing City Commission policy on fund balances. That being said, strategic decisions will be made throughout the upcoming budget development cycle to ensure the city is maximizing opportunities to invest in capital infrastructure, deliver services, and preserve the fund balance in accordance with established policies. City administration looks forward to the upcoming processes, and accordingly, I would recommend the City Commission adopt the budget revisions as presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sir, before we go on, a thank you to Kristen Collins, our finance director, and I, keeping all of these funds straight. It's a tremendous task, and you continue to excel in that, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you. Commissioner Gary.
I make a motion to authorize the final budget revisions for the 2019 fiscal year as outlined in City Manager's memo.
Support.
So moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosmus.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
That concludes the City Manager's report. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turner. Item H is status reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1 under status reports is an update and reminder regarding the upcoming goal-setting session. As a reminder, the City Commission will conduct its goal-setting session next Monday, February 11th, starting at approximately 9 a.m. and lasting through the afternoon. The goal-setting session will be open to the public and, as noted during a past meeting, recorded for future reference. The goal-setting session is a critical event which will inform the activities of City administration throughout the upcoming fiscal year, as well as the budget development cycle. We would look forward to that process as well. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions on goal setting? Okay.
Item 2 under status reports is an update regarding an upcoming Police and Fire Pension Board meeting on April 17th. As outlined by Director Collins, the Police and Fire Pension Board is announcing the meeting on April 17th, which will include presentations of the annual actuarial valuation and a status report of the investment portfolio and market conditions. Presenters include Mr. Michael Gano, the city's actuary, of Gabriel Roeder Smith and Company, and Mr. Tim Bryce, Managing Director of Wealth Management, the Bryce Group. While all pension board meetings are open to the public, the board does wish to extend a special invitation to all members of the commission, in addition to liaison Commissioner Tuorty. The meeting will be held at 8 a.m. in a second-floor conference room and could be structured as in the past year as a joint meeting of the City Commission and Police and Fire Pension Board if desired by the City Commission.
Right. And you'll get notices out as that gets closer, I would think, just to remind us.
Certainly, Mayor.
Okay, and that's 8 o'clock in the morning?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, thanks.
And the third item under status reports is an update regarding the 2019 citywide cleanup. This was going to be presented by Mary Jo Duvall. However, after the publication of the agenda, we were informed that she's unable to join us. And so we look forward to a future update from her. We're glad that she's coming back to assist with the citywide cleanup. Mm-hmm. And just as a note, it's been scheduled for Saturday, May 18th.
Okay, thank you.
And that concludes the status report section of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Item I, matters presented by the public. If you'd like to come to the podium, and if you'd identify yourself for the record, we'd appreciate it. Thanks.
My name is Sandra Stewart. I live at 2314 Andory Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I'm the president of Sioux Michigan Pride. I have many titles. I'm a mother, I'm a veteran, I'm also a lesbian. Growing up, I got bullied every day for being gay, with nobody to talk to, nobody to turn to, nobody to help me out with. I recently became aware of the high school having to have a suicide prevention for the LGBTQ community, because of kids being bullied for being gay and not having anywhere to turn to. My group is hoping to help reduce suicide attempts by the LGBTQ community in proposing that we do a Pride Fest every year to help show them that there are people out there that are willing to help them, and it's okay to be who they are, and the community supports them in anything that they want to be. There is a lot of support to do this. Not a lot of people showed up tonight because of the weather, but we do have a strong community here who's willing to support and back. We're asking the city's support and approval to do a Pride Fest, maybe even a Pride Parade, something like that every year, so we can show younger generations that there are people out there who will support them and help them.
Sure. City manager, I would say if you wanted to talk with the city manager
Okay.
after the meeting, get some information, that would be a
Okay.
good thing. Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyway, okay, thank you. Oh, Commissioner Tuardi.
Thank you. One of the things that actually the city manager and Commissioner Talentino and I have been working on, and we're going to start really working on it hard again, is an inclusion initiative from the city of Sault Ste. Marie, and I'm wondering if maybe this is a group that we might want to invite once we start really reaching out to different groups in the community to see how that it could impact them. This would be a group that we would want to invite to join us in
We'd
helping
be
us.
more than willing to
Thank you.
do anything to help.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll go on to item J, matters presented by the City Commission. And again, I-500 weekend, this past weekend, we are drafting a proclamation, a recognition of the I-500 directors, chairman and directors, and just thanking them for the work that they continue to do. 51, I know there's been a lot of different volunteers involved in that and different chairmen, but I don't know that we've had a proclamation. I would think in the 50 years we probably have had one, but yeah, I think it's a nice gesture. And when we get ready to present that, we'll ask the board of directors members that are here, and maybe Rick Federer, who's been the chairman for a number of years now. He lives in Roscommon area, and we'll present that to them hopefully in the near future once we put that together. But again, just a tremendous undertaking when you you know, a number of us have been involved in the race over the years, and it just takes a gigantic amount of volunteers to put that together, and the economic impact is goes without saying is tremendous. I think we just estimate approximately $2 million a year, and that's probably a low estimate when you're getting crowds of, you know, between 5,000 and 7,000 people. And in the heyday, I mean, they were upwards of 8,000 to 10,000, and now it's coming back. And I know Commissioner Talentino's dad, they were the volunteers that have been there for 50 years, and he was one of them. Bill Munsell, retired Commissioner Bill Munsell, also was one of those folks. And I'm going to miss somebody, those two. And who was the third? God, I should know. It's just, he was standing right there. That's why I hate to mention his names and forget folks, but it should be in the paper anyway. But oh, Ralph LaCursier, another one, and then another gentleman that wasn't able to be there, and I don't remember his name. But we certainly can talk about that when they come before us and we present them with the proclamation. But it's just, like I said, a tremendous undertaking. We only have one function a year. That doesn't mean that we couldn't have other functions, but I know the I-500 committee meets all year long, so it's just not a week-long deal where people get together. It's a year in the planning, and the planning's already begun for next year. Mile Oval, one of its kind in the United States, so it's just great being part of it, and it's part of the whole community. It's really lifting for the community during this week and a half type of thing when you see the machines coming in. And the parade, again, fell short a bit. I think 950 registered, 933 participated. Some fell out of the parade because of the slowness. They're going to be working on that next year I guess Convention and Visitors Bureau wants to try it again. And we do want to break the record. It's not something that we just want people to come to the Sioux, and we talked a bit about that, but you can't have the groomer and the graders in front of you and maintain speeds of less than 5 miles an hour and then be stopping, and there's just too much overheating going on, and hopefully we can kind of square that away, but one of the things is they have to be able to come downtown, and it's going to inconvenience people for a couple of hours, but to get the Guinness, to get the National Guinness Book of Records for the parade, I think is something we should have, and it'd be just fitting if Sault Ste. Marie could set that record. And it's 1,047 is a record, so anything over 1,047 snowmobiles in a continuous parade will set the record. And there's a lot of stipulations, and I don't know them, but people in the Convention and Visitors Bureau do, so that's why it's set up the way it is, but we'll look to improve that next year. I know the planning has already been talked about, so good luck to those folks that put it together. And we would like to maybe suggest that maybe school would be only half a day, so that if you have a license, you can get registered. And there's a lot of students that might participate if they had the chance, which would get us really close, because I think we were only, the first year we were less than 50 away. This year we were about 95 away from that 1,047, so 48 I should say, because that breaks the record. And there's a lot of stipulations, but a lot of thank yous to the Convention and Visitor Bureau, Mariah, and certainly Linda Hoth, but Mariah was kind of the key point person and did an excellent job, but we see some things that hopefully we can improve on going forward and get it in the third year, hopefully. Okay. That's all I have. Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, just going off your statement, again, I-500 volunteers and the crew, working with them and seeing what they do all year at all the meetings and knowing that, seeing how it all comes together is pretty amazing, so thank you to all of them. The Lions Club for coming in for breakfast and supporting the Yak Kids at Maloney's, we appreciate that. Great time all weekend from pub crawl, the street department and the DPW and the work that they did all week long was pretty amazing, getting the roads cleared as fast as they could after the parade for the businesses. So, and big shout out too to all the service industry in town. I think people forget how hard they work this weekend. So it was a good weekend had by all. Another great job by the board and everybody else. So,
yeah,
thanks.
Commissioner Baker is the liaison to the I-500 too, and that just helps the continuity, and it moves things along too, so that's good. And thank you for the breakfast. That was a donation, by donation type of thing, and very good. Anyone else? Commissioner Torney.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually wasn't able to attend the I-500 this year because I was traveling home from some family issues where I've been out of town for a couple of weeks. And I hate to single anybody out, but there's one local kid who's pretty phenomenal, and his name is Colin Henderson, and he's 18 years old. He's a senior at Sioux Area High School, and for him to, he's been dreaming of racing in the I-500 ever since he was a little boy. And for him to actually be able to do it, to finish, and to come in top 10 this year, I mean, it's just, deserves a little shout out. It's pretty phenomenal. So he's a great kid, and the stamina that it takes to be able to complete that race, because you're on that track for a long, long time. So it's pretty impressive. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, without a doubt. Good point. Anyone else? Commissioner Gary.
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.